Good morning. Today is Thursday, the 17th of February, and today is a very big seed starting day for me, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. So welcome back to RNS Homegrown. I got my mask here ready because I make my own seed starting mix, and every time I don't wear a mask, I end up with sinus problems that evening. So I think there's something in the peat moss or the vermiculite that irritates me. So I always keep my mask on when I'm mixing together my mix. So I just wanted to share with you what I do, and hopefully this is helpful to any of you. Bye. So I only use 2 ingredients for my seed starting mix. I have a bag here of sphagnum peat moss, and I have a bag of vermiculite. Let's see if we can see this here. Let me open this up. There we go. Vermiculite. And what this looks like inside. And then peat moss comes really compressed and very, mashed together like that. So it kind of has to be broken up. This is my 3rd year working on these 2 bags. So this has lasted me for quite a while, and I still have quite a bit left. So the recipe I go by is I do 3 parts peat moss and 1 part vermiculite. So what I've done is I've put my 3 parts peat moss and my 1 part vermiculite, and I break it up with my hands because that peat moss is really compacted and pressed down, so it comes in clumps. But this really is a very simple mix, way less expensive than buying already put together seed starting mix. And this is so loose that the baby roots have no problem growing through this medium. So once I get this all mixed together, I'm going to add some water and pre-moisten it because that helps a lot. Right now, this peat moss is what you call hydrophobic. So if we can pre-wet this and have it moist when I put it in the trays, it won't be so difficult getting it wet after it's already in the trays. Because what will happen is it'll repel the water if it can't soak in. So pre-moistening it helps a lot. And here is what this mix looks like when it's all moistened. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be filling up. I've got these 6 packs here, and I have 6 of those in a tray that has no holes in it because that will capture the water when I water and not make a mess in the house. All right, now I'll show you what I do to fill one of these up. Basically, it's as simple as just shoving it in there. You don't want there to be any big air pockets. So you want to be firm, but not too firm. And that's about it. Pretty easy. As I'm putting it in there, I make sure that all my peat moss is broken up too. So I'm just going to keep doing that. I've got 3 of those trays to fill, and each tray has 36 cells. So we're starting a lot of seeds today. And here's all of my trays filled with the seed starting mix. I've got 1, 2, 3 trays that have 36 cells in there. And then I did 1 tray that has 72 cells. So this is half the size. I don't necessarily love using the 72 cells, but it is handy for items that aren't going to be in these trays for very long. So things that grow quicker, and I don't have to wait too long before we get them out into the garden, I'll put there. But I'm not a fan of potting up these little seedlings. So I want them to be in as big a container as necessary before it's time to plant them out. Okay, so I want to share with you what I'm planting in this first tray. I've got, what I do is I go through all my seed packets and look at the varieties that I want to plant, and then figure out how many of each I want to start. And what I do is I put a little sticky note on each one of how many I plan on starting. So this is a banana pepper, and I'm going to do 3 of these, and those look like that. I plan on pickling those. And this is a pepper and a chili family, so we got to have plenty of that. And we are going to try shishito peppers. I've heard a lot of good things about these, so we'll be trying that. I'm going to do 3 of those. And last year was the first year I grew habaneros, and they were really good. A little hot for me, but Roger made a great hot sauce. And anyway, so I plan on planting those. I'm going to do 3 of those peppers. And then I'm doing 3 cayenne peppers, because I really like to dry out the cayenne chilies and make my own chili flakes. And then this year, I'm going to be doing 6 of these poblano peppers. And I'm not going for a regular bell pepper this year. I've had a lot of trouble. So I saw somebody recommend Ajvarski peppers. And so they're supposed to be real big, sweet, red peppers. And so I'm looking forward to trying these. I hope they do good in our area. But I plan on doing 7 of those. And I'm doing Craig's Grande jalapenos. I did a jalapeno last year, but they were so tiny. And I don't know if it's because the soil wasn't quite ready, or if it was just the variety. But I think I ought to get some bigger peppers, and I'm going to do 7 of these. If I go with the ones that say they're grande, maybe we'll get a good size, because we eat a lot of jalapenos around here. And then I'm also trying these natapenos, which are supposed to taste like jalapenos without the heat. So that's exciting. So anyways, those are the ones that are going to fill up this first tray. And basically you just follow the directions on how deep to plant them. I like to use the back end of my my Sharpie marker here. If any of the seeds say surface sow or needs light to germinate, what I do is just press the seed on top of the soil and make sure it has good contact with the soil. And then I have some extra, my brain went blank, the vermiculite, and I'll sprinkle some vermiculite over the top of it, because the light will still shine through the vermiculite. It's so light and airy. And as far as vermiculite goes, honestly, when I'm done planting everything, even if I do have to, like if it's a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch, I'll go ahead and plant, but then afterwards I will sprinkle some vermiculite over the top, because it really helps keep down the gnats, the fungus gnats. A lot of times when you're starting seeds in the house, fungus gnats can be a problem. I haven't had any problems in the last couple years, but it doesn't mean it can't happen. Anyway, so I'm going to get to planting these. A lot of these are probably going to be 1/4 inch. Yeah, that's usually what peppers are. And peppers take quite a while to germinate. They take longer than tomatoes do. But if you don't see them coming up right away, just be patient. Some people use a heat mat. I've never used a heat mat, and I've always gotten them to germinate. But I do have extra heat because right here in this room that we're in, where I have my grow lights, it's the south side of our house, and we have a lot of windows in here. So there's, it generates quite a bit of heat, and it's a nice cozy place for your seeds to start. I also wanted to share that it's important not to forget to mark what you've planted, because you will not remember. I will not remember what I planted when it comes up. Everything kind of looks the same when it's little. And especially when it comes to chilies and peppers, when you go to harvest them, you want to know if you're harvesting a hot one or a mild one before you put it in the food. Anyhow, I bought a bunch of these plant tags, and that's what I'm going to be marking these with my Sharpie marker. One day I'm going to get a garden marker when I remember. For now, a Sharpie's going to work fine. And then I also wanted to share, once you open a seed packet, you almost never use all the seeds at once because so many seeds come in there, and you don't need them all at one time. So I have a hard time getting the seed packet to stay closed, and one trick that I use is washi tape. And so washi tape has a nice re-stick on it, so you can seal it closed and be able to open it back up without ripping the package apart. I've tried Scotch tape. That didn't work out. It was hard to get the tape off, and you end up tearing things. So the washi tape works really well, and you can re-stick it several times. So just something fun, little tidbit. I like to put about 2 seeds in each planting hole, just in case one doesn't germinate. I've got a good chance that I'll at least get 1 out of the 2. And if 2 end up coming up, what I'll do is probably just snip off 1. Whichever one is the weakest one, I'll go ahead and snip it off. If I feel like I could really use an extra, I didn't want to put that seed there and pull it out. I'm only planting 3 of these, so I wanted it to be, in a line here. But with peppers and tomatoes, they're pretty hardy, and you can mess with them without worrying too much about their roots. So you can separate them if you feel like you need more, or if I have a cell that didn't germinate at all, then I can move 1 from a cell that had both seeds germinate. You can move 1 over to a cell that had no germination. So I have that option. And today is 2/17/22. Don't forget to date them, because you're going to want to know when you're waiting for them to germinate when you planted them. This washi tape comes from the craft store. You're going to do all kinds of cute crafts with it. It just amazes me how God designed this itty bitty seed. You see that itty bitty seed to grow a big plant with lots and lots of peppers. It's just amazing. So tiny. Now that I've got all these peppers planted, I'm going to sprinkle a little vermiculite over the top, And this will help the soil stay a little more moist while they're germinating. And again, like I said, it's supposed to help the fungus gnats not be as comfortable in reproducing in this soil. And anytime you have wet soil for any length of period of time, you run the risk of having a fungus gnat problem. So, considering we're in my house, that's not good. So now the next step is to use my sprayer here and give all of these a really good spray to get those seeds nice and moist. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a clear dome over the top, and that will help keep the moisture in while these seeds are germinating. And then as soon as we see germination, I'm going to take the dome off because I don't want my seeds to rot and I don't want them to get any kind of a fungal problem. I love this sprayer. The sprayer is great for if you have any kind of problems with arthritis and having to squeeze a spray bottle over and over and over when you're starting a lot of seeds. It's not comfortable. But this guy makes it a lot easier. So the goal now, well, let's get this dome on. I'm going to need 2 hands for this. All right, and now it's going to go over here into its spot. And here is my seed starting setup. I have this shelf here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves, and each shelf has 2 lights. These are grow lights. I don't remember what kind it was. I got them on Amazon. I can link them. They've worked really well for us. If you want to see what kind we got, I can link it for you. I'll go find the order. But like I said, it's also right here by this window that has a lot of light coming in, and that helps a lot. But I've got the ability to start a lot of seeds here. And the other thing I have set up is my fan. The fan does a couple of things. As you can see, as it blows over here, see those little seedlings shaking? And what it does is it makes them good and strong. And that way, because if they were growing outside, they would have a breeze, they would have occasional wind, and they would grow strong stems. But if I don't have any of that in here, and then I put them out there where there's a breeze, when it's time, they're not going to be able to handle it. And what this also does too, is having the airflow also helps keep the fungus gnats away. So, anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and continue on with the rest of the trays. Oh yeah, I also wanted to tell you that the lights that I have here, we have them on automatic timers, and they come on at 6 in the morning and they go off automatically at 9 o'clock at night. And I also wanted to show you, I've got these on a chain to where as they get taller, I can raise up the light. You want to keep the light at about 3 to 4 inches from the plant. So I'll be planting 3 of these classic beefsteak tomatoes, 3 of these Berry's Crazy Cherry tomatoes, and I'm going to do 3 basil plants, 3 of these dinosaur kales, and I'm going to try these for the first time. These are Martino's Roma tomatoes, but just in case those don't turn out well, I'm going to do 6 of these regular Romas, and this is the same package that I planted last year, and these did very, very well for us. But I'm going to also plant 6 of these Bonnie Best tomatoes. This is the first time trying these as well. And 6 of these Homestead tomatoes. Now, one issue I had with a lot of the tomatoes I tried last year is that they, I had a lot of splitting on the tomatoes, and a lot of times I'll say that the reason for that is inconsistent water, but my Romas didn't split, and I did have consistent water, so I don't know if just some varieties split more than others, but we also had a super hot summer last year, so I'm still trying to find what varieties we like the best, and so that's why you're going to see me trying a lot of different things. One day when I figure out what we like the best, we'll probably just plant the same thing every year. Maybe try 1 or 2 new things just for fun. But for the staples, I'd like to know what's going to work, because I want to put away a lot of canned tomatoes, tomato sauce, and tomato juice. We've really enjoyed eating the stuff that we canned this year. Some of the tomatoes that I'm planting are determinants tomatoes, and some of them are indeterminate tomatoes. And what that means is determinate tomatoes don't usually need much staking. Their plants stay small. They're going to produce a predetermined number of tomatoes and then be done for the season. Whereas indeterminate tomatoes, those are a vining tomato, and they definitely need staking. And they will produce until something kills the plant, which for us is usually the first hard frost. Or if we need the space, we take the plant out. But we usually try to just let our tomatoes go as long as the weather will let them go. For this next tray is I'm going to do 2 plants of feverfew. I do have some feverfew growing out there, but I want a little bit more. They produce a really pretty little white flower, and it's an herb also that like the name sounds, it's supposed to be good for fevers, and I just like to have stuff growing in my garden that I can use in case we can't obtain things that we need from the store. So anyway, these last 2 years have shown us that you just never know what to expect, and I don't mind having some pretty things in the garden that have multiple uses. I'm going to grow 2 of these. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but let me take a look at that. Principe Borghese. Anyway, it says that it's a determinate Italian heirloom famous for sun drying. And this is like a small little grape-shaped fruit. And they're very dry-fleshed. So we really like to dehydrate some tomatoes, and I thought this might be a good one for dehydrating.
it really, when you dehydrate tomatoes, it makes the flavor just really pop. It makes it very concentrated. And I love it when we throw them in soup or just eat them as a snack. It's pretty cool. And then I'm going to plant two broadleaf sage plants. And I'm going to start 6 of these Ruby Queen beets. I'll probably be sowing some of the beet seeds out there directly in the garden, but I wanted to get a little jump start on some of these so that they can germinate a little faster. It's still a little chilly outside for germination. And then I'm going to grow 6 of these market green cabbage. See if I can get an early harvested cabbage. And I'm going to plant 6 of the Thai holy basil plants. Those are really pretty, and then also they have a lot of a good medicinal use. When you drink the tea, it's kind of an energizer. And then I'm going to plant rutabagas. And this is my first time planting rutabagas. I hope they grow because we bought some rutabagas a couple of weeks ago and tried them for the first time, and we really enjoyed them. So I'm looking forward. So I'm going to start with 12 of those and see what happens. Okay, and there's the third flat, all nice and tucked away. And hopefully it doesn't take too long for these things to germinate. I did have one change to this. The feverfew, when I opened up the package, for some reason I didn't have any left. I don't know why. I kept an empty package, but there you have it. So I just planted a couple of more of those tomatoes that I can't pronounce the name of. So that filled that spot, and that'll work out okay. And now my last tray for today is this 72 cell tray, and it's going to be all about the flowers. So this tray, like I said, is going to be all about the flowers. And here is what I'm planting. I want to make sure that I have plenty of beauty and plenty of flowers to attract all the good pollinators, all the butterflies and all the bees. And so I've got bachelor buttons, bee balm. I've never grown bee balm before, or bachelor buttons, Mexican sunflowers. And I've got 2 kinds of cosmos, seashells. This was sent to me free by from Baker Creek last year, and I never got a chance to plant them. I think they're beautiful. And then here's some other cosmos. And then I've got 4 kinds of zinnias. I've got California Giants, fruit smoothie zinnias. I love zinnias a lot, and they can handle our heat here for sure. Polar bear. I grew some of these last year and they were beautiful, along with the canary bird. And then I'm also going to grow some pansies, and hopefully there's enough time before it gets too hot, because these like the cooler weather. I have some pansies out there growing right now in the pots on the hill, just so I would have some early flowers out there, but I bought them as plants from the store, and I want to try to grow some from seed. And look at my poor boy. He's so sad that Mom's so busy. Oh, baby. Look at him. He has to sit in the chair next to me. Okay, everything I intended to plant today is planted. The lights, I adjusted their height so that they're close. A few of those flowers required surface sowing, so you can see the vermiculite over everything, and I for the ones that were surface sowed, I just basically laid the seed on top of the soil and then sprinkled a little vermiculite over that, and that'll help keep that seed moist. So the goal now is just to make sure that these things get watered every day. I actually check them every day. One thing I like to do is make sure that my seed starting setup is where I see it every day. Because if I don't see it every day, I'm going to forget. And all it takes is for these seeds to dry out just a little bit before they germinate, or right after they germinate, and then they'll die. So I'll have to check it a couple of times a day. And once the plants get a little bit bigger, I will mostly do watering underneath, where I fill up the reservoir with water, let them soak up the water, and then I pour out any extra water. And that's a more gentle way of watering, so that you don't dislodge your little seedlings or anything like that. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'll see you on another day.